Hello, I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today we are doing 10 tastes for whiskey drinkers. And this one is malt vinegar. Why are we tasting malt vinegar? Well, everyone's heard of apple cider vinegar or some kind of red wine vinegar. Anything that you can turn into a fermented drink with alcohol in it, because yeast were in there, turning all those sugars into ethanol. Well, you can do the same thing with, sort of the same thing with some acetic acid bacteria. And they munch on the sugars and they turn it into acetic acid, which is the sour part of vinegar. Well, if you do that with malted barley mash, you'll end up with malt vinegar, and they taste malty, which is one of the tastes in malt whiskey. Malted barley spirits distilled from that mash then have that malty taste, and that's what we're checking out today. So these are just some of the malt vinegars I can buy in my grocery stores in my area here in New Orleans, and I'm going to put them on chicken, I'm going to put them on fish, and taste them and see what turns out. So these are just three of the brands I can buy in my area. And this is Roland, this is Heinz, this is Saracens. It's a pretty famous thing to put malt vinegar on fish and chips in England. Everyone in the UK knows all about malt vinegar, but it's much less known in America. So because I'm a chemist and I like putting up chemical structures on the screen in different parts, I want to throw up the structures of ethanol and acetic acid, and point out that they both have 2 carbons, and that is what the biochemistry of the microorganisms is doing. It's turning sugars, which have 6 or 12 different carbon atoms, all strung together in different ways, into smaller pieces. If it's yeast, it's turning sugars into ethanol, and if it's the acetic acid bacteria, it's turning the sugars into acetic acid. And they're both 2 carbon things, and the rest of it goes off as carbon dioxide, which takes one of the carbons. So there, I hardly ever get to talk about chemistry, but I did it. So this clip is all about malt vinegar on chicken, and specifically Popeye's chicken. This is Popeye's mild here in Louisiana, where they know how to do it, and they better do it right. And I have here the Roland malt vinegar, the Heinz malt vinegar, and the Saracens malt vinegar. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3 and tell you how it tastes. I got mild Popeye's chicken, because I usually get spicy. I don't want it to compete with spicy. So here we go with Roland. I sprinkled quite a bit of vinegar on the chicken. Malty more than sour. I'm not sure I got a lot there. Some of it's on the plate now, so I'm kind of sopping it up. It smells strongly malty and tastes malty. There's a hint of a sour taste. I'm surprised you can pour that much vinegar on chicken. So it's a nice addition. I'm not sure I would say it enhances the chicken, but I am enjoying exploring the malt flavors that are in the vinegar. It's very interesting and good. I wouldn't do this all the time, but this is easily the 3rd or 4th time I've put these malt vinegars on Popeye's chicken, and I like it. So the Roland was the only brand I knew about for a while, and I liked everything I did. I tried to put on too much, and I wasn't able to do it. I sprinkled it on and put on more and more and more, and tried to make it too sour and too vinegary, and it never worked. I just got more and more malt. And that's the same effect here. It's malty, it's tasty. So I liked everything about it on the chicken. Now we're moving to Heinz. Let me try to stay out of the puddle. It's a little more easily controlled dropper applicator top. And there's plenty on the chicken, and I'm going to taste it. I would say the needle moved one notch towards the sour and away from the malty. That's good. It's an interesting malty flavor because I'm fascinated with Scotch and malt and beer, malt and whiskey. So that's good. It's different. So it's got a different structure to the vinegar, different effect. So hard to believe I learned about malt whiskey, malted barley spirits when I put this stuff on my food. Now we're going to go with the next one, Sarsi's Malt Vinegar, which was the least successful in past tests. These went one more notch towards the sour. Each one has a different character. So this one's the least enjoyable on the chicken. That tells me least about malt distillates. So just based on these three that I could buy, the Roland tells me more about malt. And it's good and delicious, and the Heinz is almost right there, right behind it. Very good. And then this is in a different category. It's not very malty, and it's definitely sour. So I'm going to confirm my choice. Excuse me. By repeating the Roland. I may be putting on too much. That's never happened before. Malty and good. Very tasty, almost an enhancement. Malty, and I love tasting that. So that is a pretty good test for a guy who usually gets the spicy chicken tenders and dunks it into smoky, spicy barbecue sauce. So this is an enhancement and a very interesting one, and lets you explore some malt flavors. So that's why I did this video. Okay, here's our last attempt to do the malt vinegar thing on fish. I've done this on chicken, did it on fish that was frozen, battered fish. It wasn't so hot, so. But this is locally prepared restaurant catfish from, this is Louisiana. This is La Place, Louisiana. This is Cajun country. So I'm going to sprinkle a little of the Roland malt vinegar on this Cajun catfish. Just came out of the fryer at a local restaurant. And we will see what the malt vinegar does to it, for it. Wow. That's great. No one around here does anything like this. That's for sure. So the Roland is pretty good. Fish is still hot, tender, crispy. The fish is moist, batter is crispy. Except I just doused it with malt vinegar, which made it all wet. That was a great taste. It's malty, and the fish is pretty mild, so it's not real fishy. So that's a plus. It's very malty. I taste the malt for sure. And Now we're ready to move on to Heinz for a big piece and a little piece. This little sprinkler is kind of a different orifice, so it was easier to control and put it where I want to. So I'll start in on the big piece, I guess, and see how it tastes with the Heinz Malt Vinegar. Maltier. Yeah, that's good. And no one around here knows to do this. And they don't have the malt vinegar around to do it with anyway. Very good. Okay, I'm eating both pieces of that. Wonderful. You definitely understand more about malt when you eat this. That malt flavor is in there. So I don't know if you can do this to French fries or baked potatoes or what, but whatever you can put this on, give it a try. So good. So our last brand is the Saracens, which has been more sour and less malty, but let's go for it. Oh look, let's keep the cap on. Oh, it's not screwed on. It just spins. Uh-oh. I hear a car alarm outside, and I know it's mine, but my chances of doing something with it are next to nil. So let's go on with the tasting. Saracens Malt Vinegar. Still to the sour side. There's a malt note there. This is more sour and less malty than the other two. Very, very interesting and good, and not as good as this one. I think that's my favorite. This last piece gets the Heinz. So you might think this is an odd place to get a whiskey tasting note, but here it is. So I would recommend that you try it. And while you're at it, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, leave a question, subscribe to the channel, and click on that bell to get notified when the new videos pop up on Mondays and Thursdays. Until then, cheers.
I love whiskey drinking women. They understand the things I do. They never beg me to stop drinking, 'cause they like drinking whiskey too.